Hey, this is Jamey with Stonemeyer Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite game mechanism in Push, which, as you might be able to tell, is a push your luck game, which excited me because push your luck is one of my favorite mechanisms. What I didn't know going into the game is that it is also an I cut you choose game, which is another one of my favorite mechanisms, and that ties into what I really love about the game. Basically, in Push on your turn, you can do one of two things, and the main thing you're usually doing is drawing a card, and then unless you've busted, you put it into one of three stacks on the table where the stack doesn't already have the same number or the same color. And then whenever you decide to stop, if you don't bust, you get to choose one of those stacks and add the numbers to your tableau, add the cards to your tableau. And then going around the table clockwise, the other players also get to choose one of the stacks that you created. So there's this really nice element of creating stacks of cards that could benefit you, will hopefully benefit you, but may not necessarily benefit you. And there are two elements to the push your luck side of this. One is the side of that you bust. I'll explain that in a second. The other side, though, is that if, say, I start a stack with a 4 and a 5, and the points are the numbers, so good stack so far, and then I decide to keep drawing. If I decide to keep drawing and I draw the 6, suddenly I have created value for other players, basically, because the 6 shares a color with the 5. I cannot put it in the same stack. So I have pushed my luck beyond the stack that I was kind of creating for myself, and I've now created a new stack, which I could select for myself when I decide to stop. But I like this element that the further you push, while you might benefit yourself, you might also simply be benefiting other players, which I think is great. The other side of it is if you simply bust, and that is if there are already 3 stacks out there, and say there are 2 stacks of purple, say there are 3 stacks of purple cards in them, and you draw another purple card, then you bust. And if you bust, you have to take this die and roll it. And what this die tells you on many of the faces are look at all the cards you have in your tableau of that color, and lose them, discard them. So you might get lucky. You might not roll. So say I have no green cards. I might roll green and then I don't lose any cards, but I might lose a lot of cards. And the loss aversion here is really interesting because it creates a strategy not just in trying to get the best stack of cards as you're creating them and as you're selecting them from what other players create, but also it gives you something a little to think about which colors you select, because you could go after a diverse array of colors. I believe there are 5 colors here. Yeah, 5 different colors. So you could go after a diverse array so that when you inevitably do bust, or there are even cards in this deck that say you must roll the card if you select this card, that you don't lose very much because you spread yourself thin. But at the same time, one of the other things you can do on your turn, instead of drawing cards and creating an array of cards to select from, is you can choose to book, what is it called? Bank. You can bank one color of cards. So you could decide, okay, I'm not going to go after a diverse array of cards. I have a lot of valuable yellow cards. I'm going to go after yellow and get a really good stack, and then at the right moment, I'm going to bank that entire stack. I'm going to use my turn to bank that stack to save it so that I can't lose those cards from rolling yellow and busting. So I really love that element of strategy too. There's a lot. It's a simple game, but I love all the little decision points in it. I love that it has the push your luck element in 2 different ways, and that it has the I cut you choose element, the stack creation, where you actually get to choose first. That's one of my favorite things about it, that you create these stacks and then you get to choose first before other players. That is fairly unique among I cut you choose games. So yeah, if any of these mechanisms remind you of another game, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, or if you have a favorite mechanism in Push, feel free to mention that in the comments as well. Thanks.